Hello, everybody. Welcome to Link Live. My name is Marina Mayer, Editor-in-Chief of Food Logistics and Supply and Demand Chain Executive.
And I'm Rael Jekyll. I'm the Associate Editor.
And today is such a glorious day. Yes, the sun is shining by me. I hope it's shining by you because today we are introducing Supply and Demand Chain Executives overall Supply Chain Woman of the Year. Let me just start out by saying really quick before we bring her on. These nominations this year were out of this world. We received over 200 nominations. These women are killing it in the supply chain. On behalf of Brielle, we are so blessed to be able to honor and celebrate their achievements. But one in particular just really pulled at those heartstrings and said, this is what we have to do. She is the one. She's a self-proclaimed robot ninja. She has spent close to 20 years designing and building innovative and complex robotic systems. She's amassed 13 patents, and she's opened the door to diversity in robotics. Link Live audience, please meet. Let me bring her on. Yay! Hello. Everybody, please meet Melanie Wise. She's the CEO of Fetch Robotics and this year's overall Woman in Supply Chain. Melanie, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
And we are so excited to have you. You're truly an inspiration, everything that you've accomplished so far, especially in robotics. I know we were kind of talking offline how that kind of industry just, it in the female standpoint hasn't received a lot of traction. So, thank you for paving the way. What does receiving this award mean to you and your company and just robotics and STEM overall?
I think it's a great honor. I think one of the things is that if you look at it, there's a lot of recognition for a lot of accomplishments in very specific technical areas, but there's not a lot of recognition and validation for the business of entrepreneurship, especially as it relates to these non-technical fields, in terms of basically bringing something highly technical into the world and making it successful in verticals that are not traditional for these technical fields. If you look at it, robotics is relatively new to the scene in logistics. And so I think this is pretty exciting. I think it validates that we're making progress in providing good solutions to the industry, and that's exciting to me.
So I know you said that it's relatively new in logistics, and I've seen that as well, but since a lot more warehouses and logistics companies are really tackling robotics and bringing them on, but I do know that there are some legacy warehouses, smaller warehouses that are holding a little bit back on automation. So where do you see robotics and automation going in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think that right now we're kind of at this turning point. I think that the pandemic really put a lot of pressure on businesses to look very hard at automation. I think that if you looked at before the pandemic, we did have a labor shortage. It was kind of significant, but it wasn't at the level that we're seeing today. The other thing is that much of the economy slowed down to kind of react to the lack of demand. And now we're starting to see all sorts of shortages again because, the economy slowed down. And now we're trying to react very quickly to re-ramp up production, re-ramp up supply chain. And we're struggling with it because of the lack of labor and other factors, obviously. And so I think that robotics is going to be pretty pivotal in accelerating this movement to automation. I think the biggest thing that we'll probably see in the next 3 years is a real focus on time to automation. Because as you know, if it takes 12 months to implement an automation solution, you've lost 12 months, right? And so I think that's where we're going to see a lot of cool innovation, a lot of push is can you bring up an entire warehouse automation system, whether it includes robotics or not, in a very short amount of time. No more of this 12 to 24 to 36 months.
That's really exciting to see, especially because it makes it more accessible to all these warehouses instead of just like the big warehouses, the major retailers that can do it. But I'm glad you mentioned the labor shortage, because that leads me to my next question. A lot of people, I've heard a lot of people saying that automation is definitely more a way to optimize the human worker's job, and to make the warehouse more efficient rather than replace the human worker themselves. Do you agree with this? And what would you say to those who oppose?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of confusion about the capability of robots today. Um, you guys most likely all have Roombas. You've seen the intellectual prowess of those machines.
I
Um,
Cliff.
yeah, and I think that it's important to recognize that our jobs are composed of a lot of small tasks. And many of the robotics solutions today are targeted at taking on a couple of those tasks that make up our job. And so there's not going to be like a robot that comes in and can replace everything a human does. Because, I mean, at some facilities, people do everything from picking to pack out to even, pushing a broom to sweep up an area after, core gets everywhere, or packing material gets someplace. And so jobs have a lot of tasks. And right now, a lot of the tasks that robots are good at are things like moving things from point
Mhm.
A to point B, or picking something up and putting it in something. But they're not a whole job. And I think that's one way to look at how robots are not taking jobs. I think another thing is that it's just the complexity of task. Right now, robots can only do kind of simple tasks. They can't do very dexterous manipulation, like you know um, pulling a crumpled T-shirt out of a box that was really meant for 200 T-shirts, but has 500 T-shirts crammed into it. Those types of things are really beyond robotics today. Even trying to find one T-shirt in a mass of T-shirts can be very difficult. Um, and so I think that we just have to take a step back and realize that robots aren't as smart or as capable as we envision them to be. We've
Mhm.
spent a lot of time in the media, and in movies, showing fantasy, and
Yeah.
not reality for this technology.
I do have a follow-up question. Um, a lot of the warehouse workers, it is like you don't necessarily need like a high degree to be a warehouse floor manager or floor employee. And maybe they don't have a lot of experience dealing with high tech level things. How does that come into play with the robotic systems? Like, are they able, is it super intuitive to interact with, or does it need somebody with a high technical degree in order to deal with them?
Yeah, actually, it's a great question. We spent a lot of time, and a lot of other companies in robotics have spent a lot of time looking at user experience, looking at human factors that apply to these problems. Because if you look at some of the reasons why people are most uncomfortable with working with robots, it's because they are concerned that they don't have the skill set to work with robots. And so a lot of energy has been put into making this technology very easy to use. Whether it's for the associate that's doing the picking or the activity with the robot, or the floor manager who has to set it up or use it or schedule it, to the executive that's looking to get reports. And I think that there is a lot of concern, but I think that after people get experience, and I think that's the other thing that we see is people are concerned about whether they're capable of using this technology because they have very limited experience. And I think we're going to start seeing some of that phase away as robotics becomes more prevalent in people's everyday lives. Because right now it seems like this juggernaut of technology. Many people are already uncomfortable using their laptops. Why would a robot be any easier? And so we are working on it as an industry. It's I liken it to, in the early 2000s, the internet woke up and was like, oh, we should really care how easy it is to use our websites. And right now, robotics is kind of going through that same thing, and saying, oh, we should really care about how hard it is for people to use our robots.
I'm just waiting for that robot that can come and do my laundry and cook dinner for my family. So Melanie, if you can get that created, call me because I would love that.
Yeah, I will say on that point, a lot of people dream for that. I think one of the biggest problems is we're a little far off on it, because
I know.
today it costs about $40,000 to lift a gallon of milk. So so unless you got a pretty dime to drop, you're probably not going to get your house cleaning robot.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, I know they always talk about like smart houses and I just need a smart kitchen person. That's what I need.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have a lot of, we have what's called the supply chain learning center.com. It's a website we own, and we kind of work with other affiliate partners to promote education in the supply chain. So what kind of advice do you have for a lot of these future female leaders who, are either entering the supply chain industry, or maybe they're not sure if robotics and supply chains are a good fit? What kind of advice do you have for them?
I think the biggest thing is finding the internal strength to never take no for an answer, or you can't do that, or you've got to put in your time. Those types of statements are ways of kind of holding women back, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is it is very hard to push through no. I think many women know this. I'm sure you guys have all experienced it. That no, that no with the subtext of no, you're a woman. But I think that it's important to push through it, and just don't take no for an answer. There's many men who have no problem doing that, and
Right.
and we just have to develop the confidence. We have to get rid of the imposter syndrome, which I know many, many, many women suffer from. I suffer from it. You have to swallow all of that. You have to push it down as far as you can, and just, believe in yourself, know you're competent and capable, and push through the no, because you're going to come out the other side just fine.
I love that. And what would you tell your younger self? Like looking back, knowing everything you've experienced.
Oh man. What would I tell my younger self? I think I think I'd tell my younger self, chill out and stop being such a jerk. It took me a long time to mellow out, and I think a lot of people are pretty intense when they're younger, and I was pretty intense, and I wish I could have gone back and told myself, like, just chill.
But in retrospect, here you are. I don't,
Yeah.
maybe if you chilled out earlier, maybe you wouldn't have gotten as far. Who knows? But
Yeah, you're probably right.
but I love that though. Looking back at my younger self, it's like, yeah, you worry about silly things that at the grand scheme of things don't mean a whole lot. So you kind of put better perspective.
It's hard as a young person starting out to figure out that balance of pushing through the no, and are you just being a jerk? Yeah, you don't, like, I think back to some of the things I thought I was standing up for myself, but in reality, I was not.
Yeah.
I was just making a fuss to make a fuss.
I think that's the fire of youth.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's a good point, because a lot of the youth, they're still trying to figure out where they stand and their ground and their footing and everything. And, it's hard when you're up against, people who've been doing this for many years. So You know, I can see that, but I love every part of that. So that's
Yeah.
good stuff. For our audience, make sure you go to stcexec.com right now because the article is currently up about Melanie. It kind of talks more about her achievements, goals for the future, kind of spells out exactly why we selected her as the overall woman of supply chain of the year. So Melanie, congratulations again to you and your entire Fetch Robotics team.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely. Well, the honor's all ours as well, because to have you on and kind of help educate, you know, our readers about the importance of robotics and, you know, diversity and all of that, we appreciate that. For all of our Link Live audience, next week we will be at CSCMP Edge in Atlanta. So if you are there, please stop by. We're at booth 723. So please come and say hello. In the meantime, go to foodlogistics.com, stcexec.com. Check out our awards pages because we have awards that are currently open. We have Top Software and Technology Providers Award that closes September 26th. We have Top Green Supply Chain that closes October 3rd. And then we'll be opening our Rock Stars of the Supply Chain Award for 2022. So check out those pages so that you can stay on top of it and nominate an individual or corporation for one of our industry-leading recognition programs. Melanie, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody else, thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you very much. Bye.